Is your small business growing? That's the question we address right here on the Grow Your Biz Show. It's where we interview strategic entrepreneurs who inform and inspire you on your solopreneur or small company journey. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Grow Your And we're back with the next segment of the Grow Your Biz Show. Today, I'm with Deanna Garcia and Michelle Diaz of Immanuel Village. Welcome back, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, we just got started talking about all the good things going on at your place, but I'm curious. I heard that there are, I think it was 10,000 people a day turning 65 years old. That's a lot of folks. And, not all of us want to keep mowing that darn lawn. And not all of us want to make up that house, or maybe we've lost a spouse or somebody. Maybe we just need to downsize for a million different reasons. How do I go about finding the right location, the right community? Michelle, is being a nonprofit organization, is that important to me as I look to where I'm going to end up?
Oh, 100%.
Why is that?
Non-for-profit, essentially saying our stakeholders are the residents and our employees. We don't have to answer to outside stakeholders that invest money in, as some for-profits do.
You're not cramming on results type of thing, okay?
We are really just living for the mission. That is what our organization stands on, and that is what non-for-profit is, and they pour money back into the community as well.
Well, I've actually heard the head of your board, your nonprofit board, speak, and it was very inspirational about the many things they do in the community. We don't have time to go into all that, but Michelle, tell us what is that mission? I'm sorry, Deanna. Michelle told us about the mission. Yes. Deanna, tell us what that means.
So our mission, Paul, is Christ-centered service to seniors, to each other, and to our community. And so we're really focused on the same vision that Pastor Fogelstrom had when he started Immanuel in 1887.
1887. Well, it's too bad you're such a new fly-by-night outfit. And what is that, 120 years or something?
Yeah, so it's a solid mission that's lived all these years.
Wow.
And it's wonderful to be able to focus on that mission and really do the right thing to serve seniors and to care for our employees and to give to the community.
Right. So, and from its inception, it sounds like it was founded by a pastor.
Yes.
And so obviously he had those kind of goals. How does that live out in the day-to-day basis now? What do your residents feel or get or sense, Deanna, about the mission focus of it?
We're really able to do the right thing for the residents. So we can focus on their needs and fulfilling them and serving them rather than answering to shareholders.
Right.
Huge difference.
Well, yeah, and it does. It puts a reason, you're constantly remembering why you're there. And like I said, I've been on your campus and sensed the spiritual tone of things. And that's all important. But Michelle, that having that spiritual focus sometimes is costly. You put people ahead of profits and things like that. Is the organization financially sound?
Oh, 100%. We have a AA Fitch rating.
Okay, Fitch rating?
Yep.
What is that?
So that's a rating for businesses, kind of like a credit score, if you will. So the top is AAA, which a lot of businesses can't attain, but AA is equally as best.
So they're an organization that rates nonprofits in a certain space? Or?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
In the senior living space?
I think across the board with businesses.
Nonprofits and things?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Right. And so AAA, you said?
We're AA.
AA, okay.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Well, that sounds impressive. And again, obviously, if they've existed for that many years, they're doing something right, correct?
100%.
Well, that's interesting. Now, when you talk about nonprofit and mission-oriented, who owns Immanuel Village? Deanna?
So Immanuel Communities is the organization that owns us, and they are run by a local board of directors. And so that board oversees our finances, as well as our care practices. I love that they're local, Paul, so they're very aware of what's happening in each of our communities. Very supportive, but also hands-on to make sure that we're serving at the level that the community has set up for many years and has worked well for us.
And so they're a nonprofit board, they are elected. How are they elected? Or does the organization put out a mailer that says, these are the people we encourage you or you consider to vote for? Or how does it work, Michelle?
They are elected, and I think it's just kind of reaching out in the community. You know, we have different representations of industries on our board, from hospital administration to physicians. So it's kind of across the board, the individuals that we have.
Okay, well that makes sense to have kind of a buffet of talent, so to speak, especially you get a variety of opinions, don't you then, Deanna?
Yes, and that diversity helps to affect everything that we offer our diverse residents and employees.
Well, yeah, and so yeah, you get I mean, a physician's going to look at things differently than a lawyer.
Yep.
And how often does the board meet, Michelle?
That's a good question. I feel like they meet frequently.
Okay, not on a every month or something like
Yeah.
that, but often enough to do the job,
Yep,
right?
yep,
Well, that's the most important part.
Yep.
Well, great. You know, we talk about moving from a house to a community like this, and not everybody has the means to do so. Maybe they have the means to get started with that, but Deanna, what happens when I move in and I'm out of money? I mean, where do you go then?
Yes, so we like to plan for that financial continuum, and what Immanuel Communities has done to plan for that is provide affordable housing. Within our campus, for example, there's affordable housing for independent and assisted living.
Okay.
And so it's based on income and also on assistance through the Medicaid program.
Okay.
And then we can provide that same support at the long-term care level on our campus as well.
Wow.
So,
And it's all related. What I like is that I think the fancy word is continuum of care.
Yes.
I start independent living, then I maybe move to assisted living, and then perhaps eventually to long-term care. And Michelle, I think Deanna told us that resources exist and methods exist to keep people moving on that continuum.
Absolutely. Once you're in the Immanuel family, we want to keep you in the Immanuel
I love it. I love it. You can't get out once you're in. Well, these are big decisions, and they're lifelong decisions. My mother-in-law is in one of your related facilities, locations or in communities, and so that I understand, and and she's doing really well and been on that continuum of care, and so I'm totally appreciative of how all that works. You bet. Deanna, I've been with our Gratitude Books tour. We stopped and had a author stop at your fine location there, and it's just, I don't know, it just felt really, me and two other authors do this tour where we go to several senior communities and do our presentation with our books, and yours stood out to me as a welcoming place. Tell me what you do to create that environment.
You know, we encourage a lot of interaction with the residents through our life enrichment programs. And so
What is that?
Yeah, there are many recreational opportunities, card games as well, a lot of entertainment that comes in. And so the residents there are just used to having a very rich environment where they can visit with one another and enjoy all types of activities like your book tour that came in as well. And so when you come to Immanuel Village, I think that's what you're picking up on, is that very close-knit community that just enjoys doing life together.
Being active, yeah.
Yes.
I have a bone to pick with your organization on that topic. You have a sister community over in Des Moines, and the book tour went to Des Moines. I don't know if you've heard the story, but probably not. We went, the three of us went to Des Moines, and we did one stop at one location in the morning and one stop in the afternoon. And the morning stop was poorly attended. And you know why? It's because it's one thing just to put a bunch of fitness machines in a room, but it's another thing to see all these people using them. That was fitness time.
Oh.
And so we were competing with exercise time. And we had nobody there, but I was glad to see the fitness room was very full and a lot of people. And what's neat about it is they work at their own level, right?
Yep.
Yes.
And I could just sense that, and it was just a fun kind of thing. That ties right into the wellness program. We have just a couple minutes to talk about the wellness program. Michelle, tell us about that.
So the wellness program that we offer at Immanuel Village, we have 3 fitness instructors that we have.
Wow.
They teach classes, a variety of different classes, and then there's like one-on-one support they do, and then they can work with you when you go down on the machines.
Okay.
They also do fun things like smoothie time and fun activities.
Sure,
like that.
lots of activities and so on.
Yep.
Well, it's nice to have that robust of a support staff because, I mean, again, anybody can have a community where they put a bunch of fitness machines in a room, but, and I imagine your people do get very involved in motivating the residents to come in and use these things, right?
100%. And if someone doesn't show up, they're knocking on their door.
Oh, wonderful. I need that. That would be helpful, I think. Well, lastly, Deanna, let's talk about the spiritual support. We've hinted at that a little bit with the history of the organization, but what does that mean for a day-to-day basis, me enjoying the whole person again, the spiritual side of myself within your community?
So as a resident at Immanuel Village, you have access to a pastor who's on our staff full-time.
Full-time.
And so the pastor is there for grief support, for leading spiritual services, and then Bible studies. So it's a wonderful support for your spiritual journey.
Well, you said a key word to me. I've been involved in labor and staffing and seen every kind of iteration of that in the past. The key word you said was full-time. Yeah. And so that person's there for your residents all the time. You know, we've had a lot of good conversation about what it is we should look for when we go to a senior living community, because there's a lot of these things that people don't think of, right? But I think more important than that, ladies, would be to hear from some of your residents. And I know you have come with some remarks prepared about a few of what your people have to say. Deanna, why don't you go first?
Okay. This one was from Erna, and she said, "The wonderful staff is willing to help with anything that we need. I attribute my long, happy life to living the good life here at Immanuel Village." I love that she talked about the difference we made in her life.
Those are her words. She uses her long and happy life. And that's great, because she's motivated and you know, it's one thing to just think it, but for them to actually say it and give it to you, and you can use in print and all that kind of thing, that's a great tribute. Michelle, you have one?
Absolutely. This is from Eleanor. What surprised me most about moving into our senior community was all the things they have for us to do. Trips, musics, and interesting programs that make us feel special.
Wow, that make us feel special.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked about the whole person, and we keep saying the word senior living community, and that's everything, isn't it?
It is.
Well, we were at one of your organization's locations, and somebody said something about that they were surprised when they moved into how many new friends they gained. I mean, you know, think about it. I'm in a house. Again, I don't know I'm sure you have couples, married couples, and singles, right? Yep. Well, let's say I'm lost my spouse. I'm 72 years old. I don't know, whatever, and I'm in my neighborhood, and you know, all the kids have grown and they're gone, and there's very little interaction. Maybe I pay to have my lawn mowed because I don't want to do it anymore, so I don't get outside much. I go to church once a week and go to the grocery store, and you know, my friends are busy or retired or moved away or busy with their grandkids or whatever. Tell me what a difference community can make in that life, Michelle.
So it's like a warm hug when you,
I love it.
when you first move in. The community kind of surrounds themselves and supports you.
Oh, really?
You know, there's a welcoming committee.
Oh, really?
That kind of helps you get acclimated to the community as well as to like the meal times and such. So you have somewhere to sit, and then someone you can go to for advice.
Wow. Well, and that's great. You know, and I've met at several of your communities, including Immanuel Village, a couple people, and they were just self-appointed welcome wagons or something. Made us feel so welcome, even though we weren't. We were just there for a couple hours. But you know, I got the feel of how it works because of that. The welcoming committee. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Deanna, did you have another one?
You know, my favorite of all is the resident who learned that she really had just a short time left to live.
Oh my!
And her thought was to say, I'm so glad I had the Immanuel experience. And I feel like that says it all.
Well, yeah, the Immanuel experience. I love it. That kind of says, you're right. It says it all. Nothing else to say on top of that. Did you have another testimonial, or there's nothing better than that, I guess?
Well, one more from one of our employees. And you know,
okay.
I always recommend when you're searching for a senior community, find out what the residents say, but find out what the employees say too.
That's a good point.
Yep.
Yes.
That's a good
and
point.
This one really speaks to our culture. She said, the culture of Immanuel makes it special for me. I walk into work every day feeling blessed because of the residents that we work for, the coworkers that we work with, and the spirit that works through us.
Wow. Well, that says a lot too, because, I mean, none of us can do this. I mean, it takes dozens of employees to make this thing work, right?
Yeah.
And so if you have an employee with a bad attitude or not motivated or not tying into some of these other ideals that we're talking about, that makes a difference, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah, and so I can sense that would be very important, you bet. As we wrap up, tell us a little bit about the Thrive program. And I think that we're kind of, all these different kinds of questions fall under a category called Thrive.
Yeah, so we like to cover all types of points of interest and therapy, we call it.
Okay.
So for example, music therapy. Obviously, we've talked about fitness and wellness and what we do in that regard as well. Actually, we could talk for several days about that.
Well, that's everything at this age.
Yeah, because we're truly committed to the residents' well-being. And then making sure also that they have a lot of education opportunities and opportunities to hear from new authors like yourself, or opportunities to travel and grow in that way.
Well, we had a great, just as an example, I mean, your community had us in, and we were welcomed and we enjoyed it. And that was one of our better stops, I thought, is that we just felt embraced. A lot of participation, a lot of eagerness, you know, a lot of enthusiasm from the staff. Not about us, but just not staff, the residents, just the people there. They were alive, and they were fired up. So as we wrap up, Michelle, tell us, I guess, in a nutshell, what do you feel as a senior who's considering a move into a community? I mean, we've talked about it for quite a long time, but what in a nutshell should I be aware of, should I be looking for?
I think one of the important factors is when you walk into a building, if you feel like you're at home. That means the culture's right, the community's right, and that you're going to be embraced by that family. If you walk in and you don't get warm fuzzies, you should walk right back out.
I think that says it all right there. I mean, if you feel like you are at home, that wraps it up.
Yep.
Nothing more needs to be said. Yep. So that's great. Well, that concludes this segment of the Grow Your Biz Show. We've been talking about how to shop for a senior living community. And Deanna and Michelle have given us great ideas about what Immanuel Village offers, and those are some things to keep in mind as you or your parents go about considering where your next step is. Once you get into Immanuel, stay there for life, right?
Yep.
Can't get out.
Nope.
So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on the next segment of the Grow Your Biz Show.